Grab your favorite red writing utensil. Let's get some answers. We're looking at 15B as in Baker. Let's see what we get.
Well, we don't talk about that.
Well, we don't talk about anything while I'm reading this. Okay, 15, B. I get the wrong sheet, but that's okay. I'm looking at 1, 2AC, 4, 5, 6, 7A. So it's jump to number 1. First answer, 8 times 10 to the 4th. 8 times 10 to the 4th. Catch that? Wide enough to hear, please. Number 1B, 1.5 times 10 to the 9th. 1.5 times 10 to the 9th. If anybody had 15 times 10 to the 8th, that's correct, but you gotta fix the front. Because 15 is too big for scientific notation. You need quiet, but those who didn't have it done, you might wanna write these answers down. Number 1C, 5.4 times 10 to the 4th. Number 1D, 2.0, or just 2, times 10 to the 8th. Any repeats on number 1? Alright, jump to number 2. All I wanted was A and C. For A is 0.027. 0.027. And to C, 0.027 with all 3 of those repeating. So the repeat bar should be over the 0, the 2, and the 7. Any repeats? All right, move on to number 4. Skip number 3. Part A. Part A is 20 plus x. You could also write it as x plus 20 if you wanted. Number 4B, 3x minus 2, or plus negative 2. 4C, 8 plus 2x. You could also write it as 2x plus 8. 4D, x squared minus 15, or plus negative 15. 4E is 4x plus 26. And 4F, 3x squared plus 4x minus 2, or plus negative 2. Any repeats in number 4? Alright, number 5. They just wanted you to multiply both sides and see what you get. So it's going to be left side equals right side. Here we go. Number 5A. The left side is x minus 12. Then equals 3x over 4. You could also write 3/4 x. 5B, the left-hand side is 4x over 3 minus 16. And the right-hand side is x. You could also write 4/3 x for the first term on the left-hand side. Number 5C, the left side is 4x minus 48. And the right-hand side is 3x. 5D, which of those would be easiest to solve? The third equation, the one from C. Why? Because it contains no fractions. And it repeats on number 5. They were basically just stepping you through the machine gun method. So that was number 5. Number 6. Part A, solve for x. I have a trick to show you on 6A, by the way. It's x equals 1 over 5. Number 6B, x equals 5 over 2. Let me have decimal. Okay, good. Number 6C, x equals negative 3. 6D, x equals 42. 6E, x equals 15. 6F, x equals no solution. And let me see, 6g, x equals 0. And 6h, and repeat it. Yeah. Okay. B was x equals 5 over 2. Any others while we're at it? Okay, we're up to h. H was x equals 8. Part I, x equals negative 7 over 2. And for j, x equals 5. And repeats on sets. Yeah. H was 8. I was negative 7 over 2. J was 5. All of them are x equals. And number 7a, which is the only one you have to do, x equals 15, y equals 8. And repeats on the whole thing.
407.
X equals 15, y equals 8. Everybody good for repeats? All right, question. What you got? Yeah.
Your glasses just broke. And you're like stepping
Wow.
on
That's awkward.
Jonathan. No, you should be one of the professor people with like the one like the professor.
With the tape on the glasses.
I'm sure.
I have extras, hang on.
That's gonna help.
That's my favorite pair of glasses.
A monocle.
Alright.
Wow.
Never mind, I have these slightly geekier looking glasses here.
Oh, that's a really cool case. Yeah, that's an epic case.
Thank you.
That's an epic.
These were particularly good for doing this.
I'm scared now.
Come in and have a seat.
I prefer that.
Moving on.
Can you do 6J?
6J, yeah. Yes. Oh, by the way, before I do 6J, remind me of that if I forget. But I promised I'd show you a shortcut. Grab your notebooks for just a second. I want to show you a trick. I'd like you to write it down. You don't have to do it on the test, but it is quite fast, and it can save you a lot of time. I should just do 30 over x. Do 30 over x equals 2. First of all, this is not too hard to do in your head. Anybody know what x is?
15.
It's 15. Now, how do you get x out of there algebraically?
I know.
Go. You multiply by x. A lot of people are tempted to divide by 30. That's tempting, but they didn't multiply. Well, in other words, they divided by x. So you have to multiply by x. This can make people nervous because think, isn't that killing the very thing we're trying to find? Well, sort of, yes. This x dies, but we have a resurrection faith. X rises from the dead on the right-hand side of the problem. 30 equals 2x. And now, divide by 2.
13.
Done. That's not the shortcut. Watch this. I'm going to rewrite this. 30 over x equals 2. This is the trick. This is super duper slick, and it takes like a second and a half.
Trick.
Whenever you have x on the bottom, see, this is the answer and this is the bottom. Swap them.
Swap.
IQ.
It's just something
Got
right.
it.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you have to reduce it, of course. 30 over 2 is 15.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? It always works, by the way. The denominator, the bottom, can always swap with the answer. And the answer can always swap with the denominator. Forever and ever. It doesn't even have to be a variable. Like if I have like 16 over 8 is equal to 2, swap them. 16 over 2 equals 8, and also works. Every single time.
So that's actually
Now,
epic.
but wait, there's more.
But wait,
Yeah.
what if there's more? There's more.
Try, actually I don't have enough space. Try this.
I wonder what you watch. You probably watch like.
Yeah, of course. My Little Pony.
By the way.
It's
I need your
3.
attention here. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I don't know.
It's not 3. But, take a look up here. This is a little more complicated. You're saying you're gonna have to multiply both sides by x plus 5, and then divide by whatever. Or, swap these. The whole bottom swaps with the whole answer. This turns to 3. This is 3 equals x plus 5, and that's an easy algebra problem. Subtract 5, x equals -2. Done.
Didn't we already Oh, it's not.
Does that make sense? You are allowed to use that from this point on. If you see something in the basement, this is especially handy when you have a variable in the denominator. Now it only works if you have two, like one thingy here, one thingy here. So fraction, fraction, or whole number.
See.
So you can swap, even if it's fraction. Now that's awkward because you put a fraction in the denominator, but it won't kill you. You know, we've divided by fractions before. Every single time, no matter how disgusting the bottom is, no matter how disgusting the answer is, you can always swap them. I'll even show you one that's really disgusting. 18 over x squared plus 5x plus 6 over 7 equals 4. Swap them. 18 over 4 equals x squared plus 5x plus 6 over 7. And you can keep going from there. It would take like 5 more minutes. You'd cross multiply and get x by itself. Probably the quadratic formula would solve that. But it always works. Anything on the bottom will always swap with anything in the answer. You just have to take the whole bottom and the whole answer. So this is particularly useful, like on number 6b. Which one did you want? 6J. So 3x plus 1, blah, 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 blah. And remember, it only works if you have a single fraction. If you have like two fractions added together on the left-hand side, you got to make it one fraction for this to work. Yeah.
Oh, well, I have a kind of long question, so just...
Okay, let me do this one first then. So 6J, 3x plus 1 over 4. Shh, there's too much talking. 3x plus 1 over 4. Minus x over 5 equals x minus 2. There are at least 3 ways to do this. First way is to get a common denominator here and combine them. That's the traditional way. There's another way, which is a bit more violent, which wipes out all the fractions. That's actually pretty slick. The third method, if you can get this into one fraction, you can, well actually I don't even think you need it anymore. There's no variable in the bottom, so you don't have to do the swap trick. What would you suggest? The regular common denominator? Shoot everything with the common denominator? Yeah. Okay. So what would you multiply by to wipe out every single fraction on the bottom? What's that? 20. Right. By the way, I'm going to add the opposite here. So I'm going to multiply everything by 20. Where do you get 20 from, by the way? Anyway, where'd 20 come from? Right, that's the common denominator you need. Whatever denominator you need, gentlemen, I'm up here. Whatever common denominator you need is the same thing that you've machine gun it with. So, what happens here? There's a little trick. A lot of people try and distribute the 20. I wouldn't yet. There's something that'll make it a lot easier. Let me see it. Yeah. Reduce the 20 and the 4. What does that reduce to? 5. Do that over here too. 20 and 5 reduce to 4. This doesn't reduce, it's just 20x, and this doesn't reduce. So now oh, by the way, let me see. This is 5 times 3x plus 1. Can somebody tell me what that is? Let me check. Just multiply both of them. Good, 15x plus 5. And then plus, Rob, take over. Good, negative 4x. And then equals, while you're at it, go ahead and do these. 20 plus negative 40. So be clear on that? Let me block the happy whistler out of the.
No, it's not.
So what did you do now? Jack, take over. What do you do now? I'm sorry? Get x by itself. There's one thing I would do first that'll make your job a little easier. I was looking at this side. Right, add the like terms. What does that give you? 15x plus negative 4x. 11x plus 5 equals 20x plus negative 40. Now keep in mind there's variables on both sides. We sometimes affectionately refer to this as a shooting cows problem. So how do you do it?
Get them both from the same side.
Right? How?
You subtract. And
What?
minus 20x.
Okay.
Minus 20x.
And by the way, this is a cow, this is a cow. You can shoot whichever one you like. It totally, some people like just getting the x's on the left-hand side. Some people just like keeping the positive. You know, subtracting 20 has the nice effect of having just the answer on the right-hand side and the x's on the left. It has the disadvantage of getting negative x's, which doesn't kill anybody. You can also subtract 11x, which leaves positive x's here, but it leaves the x on the right-hand side. But that's not a big problem because you can swap it. I'll just subtract the 20x like you said. I can do it to both sides. And keep going, what do you get?
Negative 9.
Negative 9x plus.
Plus 45.
Negative.
Wait, you added 40.
Well, one step at a time.
Plus 5.
5 equals negative 40. Keep going.
Add 40.
Let me get this thing out of here right now. Yeah, subtract 5. Keep going.
It'd be negative 9x plus 45. Subtract 5. Never mind.
Yeah, by the way, if you added 40 to both sides, you'd get the answer down to 0, which is not a bad idea, but this one can solve with algebra, so you don't necessarily need to do that. It doesn't hurt anything, it just takes a little while. So equals what?
Negative 45.
One more step.
You divide by 9 for negative 9.
Divide by negative 9, because they multiply by negative 9. What do you get as the final answer? X equals 5. Got it. Questions? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any others?
I just have my question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so,
It's relatively fast, right?
yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
Let me grab some water. Keep going.
let's say
Mm-hmm.
you have, okay, let's say you have 8, let's just do 18 over x squared plus 5x plus 6. Let's just have that.
Okay.
So you have that, and then you don't have any equals.
You don't have any equals at all?
Well,
like this?
Yeah,
It's just sitting there?
yeah. Couldn't you technically add an equal, and then have equal 18 over x squared plus 5x plus 6?
Well, sure.
Isn't it is? Like, it's
Is it equal to itself? Yeah. I'll tell you right now, you're not going to get anything very exciting. When you solve that, you're going to get something like 0 equals 0.
Oh.
Which, it does work, but it's not very exciting.
Oh.
It's like, I just came up with an incredible discovery. Blue is equal to blue.
Wow.
Yeah, you get the answer. By the way, that was very clever.
How do you know?
Can you set an equal sign out of thin air? Yes, but only if it's equal to itself, and it doesn't do a heck of a lot of exciting stuff. Yeah. Can you set it equal to x? That would actually change the problem, because you're already using x. Could I set it equal to y? Yeah. That would actually, doesn't remember what y equals means? We covered this about 2 minutes ago.
The answer.
Setting it equal to 0 means you're going to solve it. Setting it equal to y means you're doing something else.
A graph.
You're going to graph it. Right. If I do y equals, you're going to graph this thing. This is actually an algebra 2 problem. It's a very exciting problem. Tell you what, just because it was an interesting question, I'll give you a real quick. Here's what it looks like if you actually graph this thing. If you did y equals, but this, by the way, you might be sorry you asked, but this is.
I never asked about the grades.
I'm sorry,
It's
Brenda
resin.
Bass.
Yeah, I'm sorry for my loss too. Okay.
Lost your brain.
We've got.
Nice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow, Ralph.
Jill is never nice.
Yes, I am. Only the people I like.
John,
One time when you're nice.
I know.
There's the graph.
What is it? The bottom's like a loopy thing.
The bottom is like a little itty bitty loop, like a parabola. It's not quite a parabola, it's similar. And then this swoops here and never hits 0. It gets closer and closer.
Oh,
and then
that's
this swoops
what
out.
last time.
It gets closer and closer to 0 and never hits. Ta-da. Yeah, so it is possible to graph, but it gets
Wait, why does it
really
never
interesting really fast. And let me see why. Let me know why those phantom lines are there.
Because
They're wild.
that is what. the
We actually know how to do
I
that.
actually don't know.
Can somebody factor the bottom from?
X
Okay, X
What,
next.
X
plus
can equal.
What two numbers add up to
Yes.
5 and multiply to 6?
3 and 2.
What values of x should we not allow?
-2, -3.
That's exactly what I forbade.
IQ.
That's what happens on a graph. If you have a division by 0, the graph blows up. It's called an asymptote. Yeah, I know. Be careful how you abbreviate that. I found out. All right, next. Yeah. Gentlemen, ladies, focus up here. Go ahead. 6G. Take a look. It says 5 over x plus 3. Okay. There's too much. No. Minus 2/3 equals 1.
I don't know. Constant. No.
There are at least 2 ways to do this. One is longer than the other. Actually, 3 ways. One way is to machine gun it right now. You would need a relatively big common denominator. You would need a 3 and an x plus 3. So you'd have to multiply everything by 3 and everything by x plus 3. I would actually suggest doing one thing first. You didn't have to do this. You can get rid of this first. Because you're trying to get x by itself, so get rid of what's farthest away first. I would add 2/3 to both sides.
Oh, sorry.
You don't have to. Again, the normal method will work. But I'm going to get 5 over x plus 3 equals, I don't know what 1 plus 2/3 is. Go.
What?
1 2/3.
Which is what as a fraction?
3
No,
fourths.
6 seconds.
Close. Whoa. Let me write it.
5 over 2.
5 over
3.
5 over 3.
No, I thought it was 6 seconds. Like 6
Now-
over 2.
You can cross multiply.
6 seconds.
Which would be 3.
Get 15 equals 5 times x plus 3. And which is really 5x plus 15
Equals
equals
15.
15. Keep going.
Yeah,
Yeah, subtract 15.
Subtract 15.
What do you get?
0.
0. That
I
does
see
not
0.
That does not mean you did anything wrong. There's a sort of anxiety reaction that says, I just got 0. Did I just do something wrong?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. In this
I
case,
just-
5x. One more step.
Divide by 5.
Divide by 5, which is?
0.
Yes. Again, a lot of people start panicking here saying, is this no solution? No, it is not no solution.
Can it be though?
Nope.
We don't feel like doing it.
X equals 0. No solution means no solution. It doesn't mean it's hard. It doesn't mean I'm bored. It doesn't mean I don't want to do it. It means it's impossible.
I have a question.
It doesn't just mean it's really fiercely hard. There are plenty of fiercely hard problems in the world that have a solution.
What's the normal way again? I completely just forgot.
Oh, just real fast. You multiply everything by 3, and you multiply everything by x plus 3.
Stop talking.
This gets kind of big, but it'll give you the exact same solution. Over here, what happens? Can I see visually? Raise your hand if you know. Don't blurt it out. Go.
3x plus.
Multiply this
over 3.
times
It'd just
this.
be 3.
Something happens. Go. Oh, sorry. Go.
It'd just be 3.
Kind of, because what happens?
The x plus 3's cancel.
The x plus 3's cancel. It's just the 3 times 5. That'll give you 15.
Yes, that's great.
It's 15.
I'm going to add the opposite here.
I never knew that.
And then here, the 3's cancel.
I can actually do something.
Look here. Less commentary out loud. It's the negative 2 times this. Can we do that?
Negative 2x.
Yep.
Plus negative 6.
Good. Equals, and then this one, nothing cancels, but just times 1. Go ahead and do that.
That's the way that has
3x plus
Mm.
9. That should give you the exact same solution. I'll just turbo this real fast. This is negative 2x plus 9 equals 3x plus 9. I'm going to shoot a cow here. Please don't chit chat. 9 equals 5x plus 9. Subtract 9. 5x equals 0. Divide by 5, which is the exact same problem we had before.
Oh, ow.
X equals 0. So it does work. It's a little longer, but it does work. That method will always work if you do it correctly. Next. Yeah. 7a is an Albert?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, can you read it off from? Hang on a second. Let me erase. Is everybody okay on this part here? There's a lot of verbalization here.
That's a big word.
All right. Andy, go ahead and read it off for me.
X over 3
Uh-huh.
plus y over 2 equals 9,
Okay.
and x over 5 minus y over 4 equals 1.
Minus y over 4 equals 1. Okay. Yeah, question. Yeah, sure. Look up here, please. 7a. They want to solve for x and y. These are difficult because they have fractions. They're a cure for that. How do you get rid of the fractions? Hint, hint, quote.
Wait, me, are you asking me?
Oh, sure. Not you in particular, but if you know, great. How do you get rid of these?
Machine number?
Yeah, what do you multiply by that?
6.
6, because that's a number big enough to handle 3 and 2. So you multiply by 6, 6. I hope nobody's superstitious.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
Cancel now.
No, kidding. So what about them? Go ahead and do that for me. Take over Eric. Multiply these.
Can't see very well.
Do your
What
best.
is C?
Better.
By the way, well, I'm up here. Best friend. Stay up.
6x.
Okay. So 6x over,
3.
does that reduce?
Would be like 2x. Just 2x.
Yeah, it's 2x over 1 is 2x. Okay. Plus 6 and 2, what did they reduce to?
3.
3. So what is that?
3y.
Yep. Equals,
54.
yeah, Trust, take over. What do you multiply the bottom by? 20. Look at it. Does anything reduce?
The 5 cancels and it turns into 4.
4. How about this one?
The 4 cancels and it turns into
5. Okay, so what's this going to be?
5. 4x.
4x minus
5y
5y.
equals 20.
Good. That's the first step. Everybody still with me? By the way, the counter, the table. By the way, we don't have an incredible amount of time. We're going to 11:15. So we need to pick up the pace a little bit. Suggestions. How do you solve this? There were 2 methods we reviewed.
Wait, what are we?
There was substitution, and there was something called elimination. Yeah.
Well, can we do the substitution one because that one's best?
It's sometimes best. It's best if you can get a letter by itself easily.
Oh, never mind, none of
This one would be a bit of a pain. It's possible. Substitution always works, it's just not always comfortable. Does anybody remember the elimination method? Yeah.
No.
Would you multiply the top by 2?
There's two ways to do it. You can either, the elimination method tries to get either the x's to cancel
Yeah.
or the y's to cancel, and it's completely up to you, whichever one you think is easiest. And yes, you can. Put 2 arrows here. Do you want to get the x's or y's to cancel? Your choice. The x's? Okay. Now what I'm trying to do is add these together and get them to cancel. How big does this have to be in order for that to be a fair fight? Rob,
Wait, what?
welcome back. How big does this have to be in order for these to be a fair fight? I want these to cancel each other.
It has to be
4. And it has to be what?
negative.
-4. I want to bring this up to -4. It has to be 4 to be a fair fight, and it has to be negative for them to fight at all. What would you multiply by in order to make that -4?
-2.
As long as you do it too.
Both sides.
Do it. Multiply the whole thing by -2.
-4x.
Uh-huh. Plus,
-6y.
yes, equals, sorry about the big number, negative something.
Negative something.
Yeah,
Negative 2 times 54.
which is,
Um,
do 2 times 50 and 2 times 4.
oh, 108.
108. The bottom should be good as it is. Forgive me, this is plus -5y equals 20. Is everybody with me so far? This is from last year, but dust it off because it's going to start showing up this year. Can anybody tell me what happens now? If you try to add these, what would happen? Maria, take over. Add the x's for me. They cancel. Add the y's for me. Good. -11y equals what? Negative something. -108 plus 20. And they fight each other. It's basically 108 minus 20 and then make it negative. Yeah, thank you. 88, good. One more step while you're at it. Good. Divide by -11. What do you get? Y equals 8. Somebody tell me what else we have to do, or are we done? Go.
You have to like plop it in.
Yeah, in order to find what?
Plug it in. In order to get find x.
In order to find x, we have y. I have seen this happen on tests. If we look up here, people get so excited over the fact that they got a part of the solution. They get y equals 8. They just pat themselves on the back and move on to the next problem. And then they lose half their points. Plug it back in and find x. You can plug it in any old place you please. So, if y is 8, look up here. You could plug it in here, or here, or here, or here, whichever one you think is easiest. So, Catherine, which of these 4 equations do you think would be nicest to plug in? It's kind of up to you. They'll all work. There's the upper left, upper right, lower right. Upper left, sounds good. Don't chit-chat, please. Okay. Go ahead, keep going. 3 times what? Well, that's the answer. 3 times 8, which is 24. So equals what? Keep going. I want to get x by itself. Minus 24 from, yep, both sides. And then 2x equals what? Focusing, please. Positive 30. Keep going. Okay. What do you get? Correct. X equals 15.
signs and like a thingamabob, like can there be like, I don't know, like 15x plus 3 equals 9 equals 13 or whatever?
No, unfortunately, no. There can be more than one less than sign, like this. -3 is less than x, which is less than 5. That works. But if I had this, 2 is equal to x, which is equal to 7, I just lied to everybody. Because if 2 is equal to x, and x is equal to 7, then one must be true.
Wait, is it possible?
Answer my question first, then I'll answer yours. If 2 is equal to x, and x is equal to 7, then logically,
7.
then 2 equals 7, which is nonsense. So yeah, the equal signs don't work, but this does. If -3 is less than x, and x is less than 5, then -3 is less than 5, which is true. Yeah.
Is it possible to have 2 equals x in parentheses and then equals 7?
No,
No, that means 2 equals 7.
because the parentheses wouldn't help. Alright, any other questions? On the
I have a
assignment.
question.
On the assignment. Assignment. 15B. Going once. So I could put any of those on the test and you'd be okay. Yeah,
We already do 7.
we just did that here.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Look who's paying attention.
Good to go? Alright, I'm gonna give you a little taste of what's coming up. Take out your notes, please.
How many more minutes?
We're looking at 15C.
8 more minutes. 7 more minutes.
Shall we face fronts and be polite? How about we can even stop the talking? That'll solve all the problems at once. Check out your notes, please. And stop the chit chat. Paper out. I'm going to give you one quick problem, and you step me through it. Solve for x. Here's if anybody catches what we should do first. There's something in this problem that would make me stop the problem and immediately do something. Yeah. That would be solving the problem. Yes, we are about to cross multiply. There's something I would do first. Keep that in mind. We're about to do that in about a minute or two. But there's something we have to do first.
I know.
Anyhow.
That's right.
Good.
Restriction.
Restrictions. Are there any? Are there any restrictions?
Yes.
Like what?
-6 is -4 and 0.
Hold on, back up. What was the first one? How do you write it?
-6.
What's
X does not equal -6.
Why not?
Because it's on the bottom.
What
and
does that
it
have to
needs
do
to
with
be
it?
negative.
Why? Why is this
Because-
forbidden?
Because
There's a
it'll
reason.
blow up
Yeah, what would blow up?
the problem.
Where? Left side or right side?
Left, right.
That's a raw guess. Go.
The
Left.
x plus 6, like if it's negative,
If this is -6,
if
what
it's
happens to
negative
this?
6 plus 6, then it would be 0 and you can't divide something by 0.
Cannot divide by 0. That's a
Oh,
problem.
yes, that's
Now, do I need to restrict this?
No.
No, because it's never equal to 0. Do I have to restrict this? No, because it's not on the bottom. Do I have to restrict this? No, for two reasons. It's never 0 and it's not on the bottom. The only time you restrict things is if there's a variable on the bottom that could possibly be 0. And in this case, yeah, it's one of them. So good. Now that we have our restrictions, the reason we list that is because we're going to solve this and we're probably going to get two answers, x equals something and x equals something. What would I have to do if one of my solutions is x equals 6?
You mean x equals -6?
-6, my bad.
Then it's not equal to -6.
You throw it away.
You throw it
Right.
in the trash.
If something is going to kill you, you are forgiven for throwing it away. Like, oh look, a
Maybe
hand
they'll
grenade,
crawl out
you
of
can
the
throw it away,
trash can.
just not at anybody else. So,
That's true.
cross multiply. Okay, math people, we got about 2 minutes, so let's
2
wrap this one
minutes?
up.
Oh
So,
my goodness, time
I'll
flies.
tell you what, Brendan, start us off. What do you get first? How do you do cross multiplication?
You,
Just give me the pieces you're multiplying, we're not gonna do them yet.
x plus 6.
Yep.
And then x plus 2
X plus 6 times x plus 2, and it should, what do I put in the middle?
equals,
Equals
3 times 4.
3 times 4. Right, now let's actually do it. This is equal to 12, you're right. What's this equal to?
X squared
X
plus
squared.
12. Wait, no, sorry.
Missed a few steps.
Oh,
What's it called? Yes.
first, middle, foil.
First outer, inner, last. FOIL.
Yes.
So x squared plus, Jack, take over. I got the first. Do the outer. Here's the first. And then what's the outer pair? Multiply. 2x. Try the inner. 6x. What's the last pair? 12. Does anything go together? What is that? X squared plus 8x plus 12 equals 12. Correct. Me or Jack, you take over. What would you do next? Can I solve with algebra? Why? Correct. Why get it equal to 0? There's 2 types of x. You cannot use basic algebra. You can't just do stuff to both sides if there's 2 different species of x. So yeah, we gotta get the answer down to 0. So get 0. So how do you do that again? Right. Both sides. So you get x squared plus, keep going. Equals 0. How do you solve that on math, people? Go.
Minus 8x.
That's algebra.
Never mind.
You could do the quadratic formula. That does work.
Oh,
There is a faster way, but yes, that does work if you get desperate. What?
add another 0.
Plus 0. If you want to do the quadratic formula with a, b, and c, you'd have to do plus 0 in order to make sure that c is 0. But there is a faster way. One that we did 2 chapters worth. There's a GCF of what? X. What's left behind? Does anybody see the 2 solutions now? Go.
X equals 8. I mean, x equals -8.
X equals -8 for this one.
X equals 0.
Yeah. Congratulations, you get 2 solutions. Are either of those restricted?
No.
No.
No. If I'd had x equals -8, we would have had to physically throw that away.
Physically?
But we are luckily
Basically.
dodging that.
Mentally?
Questions?
Spiritually.
Emotionally?
Okay, for now. Don't get used to it.
Yay,
Don't worry.
thank you, you're so nice.
15C is going to be assigned
I mean, you were nice
not for
before.
tomorrow, but for Thursday. Please stand.
Nice stalling.
Let us pray. We gotta get out of here, y'all. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Alrighty. See you later. We get the door open. It's toasty in here. Yes, please.